Speak It Right, corso avanzato di Technical English per la progettazione e le costruzioni.
Lesson 2. Presenting your office and services. Marketing tools. Brochure. Events. Press releases. Websites. Social networks.
Ben ritrovati a Speak It Right, il corso di inglese tecnico per la progettazione e le costruzioni. Sono Paolo Bulletti, docente del corso, e, ancora insieme all'amico e collega architetto Aldo Zoli, introdurremo un altro aspetto determinante: l'utilizzo degli strumenti per la comunicazione, i cosiddetti marketing tools. Spero che la prima lezione vi abbia fatto cominciare a masticare un po' di termini utili nello svolgimento della professione con clienti e colleghi stranieri. Dopo aver presentato lo studio e i suoi componenti, vediamo ora di preparare i supporti necessari per organizzare la presenza all'estero dello studio. Comunicare il proprio lavoro e la propria professionalità non è mai facile, figuriamoci in un'altra lingua. Creare la brochure, il sito web o comunicare tramite social network può non essere una cosa facile. Per questo, le lezioni che state per ascoltare affrontano, in inglese, alcune tematiche teoriche sulla comunicazione business to business. Magari siete già esperti, magari non sarete d'accordo con alcuni principi che verranno enunciati, ma noi ve li proponiamo in inglese, sempre con l'intento di fornirvi una base di concetti e termini per poter interagire più agevolmente con chi si occuperà della produzione di questi supporti. Poiché avrete probabilmente come interlocutore un professionista, grafico, webmaster, PR, ciascuna parte teorica è seguita da dialoghi per familiarizzarvi ulteriormente con situazioni che potreste trovarvi ad affrontare. Anche in questa lezione abbiamo cercato di contestualizzare i termini tecnici mediante decaloghi e dialoghi, con l'intento di incuriosirvi e suscitare il vostro interesse. Vi ricordo che la ripetizione delle stesse frasi è un passaggio obbligato per la memorizzazione. Nelle 5 unit che seguono, dedicate alla presentazione del proprio lavoro e dello studio, affronteremo la brochure, creare un evento, scrivere un comunicato stampa, studiare il sito web, usare al meglio i social media.
Dear colleagues and fellow professionals, let's reflect back on the past 10 years, just for a minute. Only a few years ago, the phone was constantly ringing, and that's how we were conducting our business. Today, the market is not just local, it's a global market, and technology has entirely changed the way we deal with business and the way we actually contact people and they contact us. Our world is about competition, and it's about reacting constantly to the fast speed of business around us. We need to prepare to make ourselves known on the outside world, e ricordiamoci una cosa: il mondo esterno non è necessariamente la Mongolia, ma sicuramente la Germania o il Marocco. We cannot anymore just deal in Italian. We have to be able to deal in English, and this will help us to broadcast ourselves in a broader market around us. This new lesson is going to focus on how to communicate our professional skills and services and the different media that we can use. The way we're going to approach it is to actually look how to construct a company brochure, how to organize an event of different sorts, and of course, how to put together a website, which is essential for our professional lives. Hello, it's me again. Yet another story about clients meeting, but this time it's about understanding who the client is. Here I am on a plane to Turkey, meeting with a new client for a department store called Accrescere. I was traveling with a colleague of mine, John, and when we get to the airport, we see this gentleman coming towards us. Somehow I had the feeling he was definitely not the client, and he looked to me much more like the driver. But John was adamant that that was the client, and he started talking to him. We went to the car, John sat in the front, I was very comfortably sitting in the back, and John talked for half an hour non-stop. At the end of the half an hour, the gentleman, the driver, looked at John and said, "Sorry, sir, no English." Hello everybody, we're now on lesson 2. Lesson 2 is about a number of different subjects, and the way we're going to look at them is with 10 practical steps that you could take into consideration for every subject. Remember, they're not set in stone, and it's really meant to be as a guideline, as a reminder of what are the possible steps that you could use or you should use, one more time. And in terms of vocabulary, we have tried to put together the most significant vocabulary for every step.
Lesson 2. Marketing tools. Brochure.
Una brochure è tutt'oggi considerata lo strumento più rapido, pratico e d'immagine per far conoscere le proprie attività e della quale nessun professionista può fare a meno. Nonostante i canali multimediali e web utilizzino più sofisticate e accattivanti visualizzazioni, la classica brochure, non fosse altro per la sua connotazione materiale, non smette di esercitare fascino e persuasività. Le scelte grafiche di impaginazione e qualità fotografica vanno quindi attentamente valutate insieme alla professionalità dello stampatore, che oggi, grazie ai servizi online, ha la capacità di produrre qualità eccellente a prezzi competitivi e tempi ridotti. Ecco di seguito un decalogo di buone pratiche da tenere sempre presente.
Brochure. Now, obviously a brochure has the risk of becoming obsolete the minute you've printed it because something new, something else has happened. Nevertheless, regardless wherever you are, whichever meeting you're going to, it is very important in our professions to actually bring a brochure with us. First thing, you should really study the competition. What are they doing? How are they doing it? What are the messages that they are going to convey? And therefore, decide what you want to do. Do you want to actually do a brochure which is as similar as possible to your competitors, or do you want to come up with something which is completely different? So, first of all, study your competition carefully. Second thing, be careful about the English terms you use. A brochure is a document with several pages. A folder is normally an A3 sheet, which is folded in two, and a leaflet is a sheet that can be folded in 3 or 4, depending on the format and the effect you want to obtain when giving it out. Third thing is about producing a document that can be updated. Remember, obviously in our professions we work on projects. 10 years ago project is not as relevant as the one we've just finished or we've done last year. And therefore you should probably come up with a system where you have project sheets that you can insert or take out depending on what's relevant for your client. As an example, you may have done a number of projects in different fields, but for this specific client, all you need is residential projects or offices. Therefore, you need to be able to choose the project sheets you want to insert. The next thing is about, when possible, actually asking a client or as an external person to proofread your document before you print it. The language is not necessarily understood by all. You may be using a language which is too specific, and it's very important for someone else to come back to you and say, I really understood what you want to say, I understand the message you want to convey or not, and therefore you can adapt. Technical jargon is something that obviously it's important in our field, but yet again, you should be careful to use it specifically when necessary and not all over your leaflet, your brochure, your document. Photographs. You should really invest in photographs. I think there's nothing best than having a good photograph taken and printed on a brochure, because that conveys all the image you want to convey. Cover. The cover is the first thing you see when you open a brochure, a leaflet, and therefore it should be impressive. Not overdoing it. There should probably be a picture and a short message, but in any case, few words, not too many. Testimonials is about asking a client or an external person that knows you, your firm, your professional skills very well, that can talk about yourselves, and you can then print a sentence or a short statement from that person. Last thing, very important, our profession is about projects, one more time. So what do we want to show? We want to show what we do and how we do it at best. So if you're looking at a project, what is the best way of showing it? Is it plans, sections, details, photographs? Whatever it is, just use those elements that you think are key for the project to be understood by all. Good luck.
Brochure in 10 steps. A brochure risks becoming obsolete as soon as it is printed. Nevertheless, no professional can do without one. Before studying our brochure, analyze those of the competitors to understand what and how colleagues, in other words direct competitors, present themselves, contents, overall choice of graphics and images. Watch out for the English terms brochure, document with several pages and a spine, folder, an A3 folded in two, and leaflet, sheet folded into 3 or more panels. Try and produce a document that can be updated with additional pages or spiral bound, using the possibility of short runs offered by digital printing. An institutional brochure should contain the following information: who we are, our team, what we do, main projects, about us, contact us. It's always best to have a potential client proofread the text. Often the writer is too close to the subject matter and cannot be self-critical. Be clear and only use technical jargon where necessary. Invest in photos. Professional photographs can make the difference. Make the best use of the cover, providing a consistent image with a photo or graphic element. Use testimonials. The About Us section requires effort to produce, but it is very useful. Endorsement by third parties, especially influential ones, is very valuable. Let the projects speak for themselves, adding plans and technical details and grouping them according to the reference markets, and for each one indicate the location, client, tasks, project value, and year.
Competitors. Colleague. Brochure. Folder. leaflet, short run, digital printing, potential client, technical jargon, cover, graphic element, endorsement, plan, technical detail, reference market.
Change management, it's a large subject and we could be talking about it for a long time. La gestione del cambiamento. What does it mean? First of all, when I arrived in the UK in 1985 and I heard for the first time the word change management, I had no idea what it meant. And most importantly, I didn't understand what it meant for an architect in our business. It has become the core of my business since. It's about understanding what your objectives are, who you are as a person, as a team, as a company. Space is an integral part of change management because depending on what your objectives are, the space can be a different type of space. In terms of a team, in terms of an individual, is how to make sure that people feel comfortable at work, they feel at ease in the new environment and with the other team members and in their relationship with management. People are not opposed to change, but they're opposed to being changed. So it is very important that you actually take them by the hand, in a certain sense, and you take them through a process and you explain why you're doing certain changes and what are the benefits for the individual, for the team, and for the company. It is no problem sharing what the objectives and the benefits are for a company because, after all, we all work for a client and or for a company, and the benefits of the company, of our clients, are also our own benefits at the end of the day. Changing, taking the people by the hands, it's about, first of all, listening. If you do not listen, you will not understand. Somehow, I think in some of our Southern European countries, we have the tendency to talk before we actually listen. And that's one of the first things I learned when I went to the UK, was to listen before I talk. And let me tell you, it's been very difficult for me.
L'architetto Maria Rossi, nella preparazione di un viaggio di lavoro in Cina, decide di stampare localmente una brochure dello studio MRLV & Partners. Parla quindi con il grafico Liu Zhongxin, detto Johnny, per dargli alcune indicazioni sul design ed affrontare anche temi tecnici, dalla risoluzione delle foto alla scelta della carta ai preventivi.
To make your work easier, we've prepared high-res photos of our main projects, a text divided into chapters, and some copies of competitors' brochures that we found interesting. You're free to choose the size formats and types of paper, but don't want cardboard that is too thick or lamination of the cover. The aim is to communicate style, not opulence. If you can provide some samples of coated stock with matte or glossy finish, we can decide on them together. We were thinking of a print run of around 1,000 copies. We'd like a change of the black plate in order to have the text translated into Chinese. Can you prepare an estimate for the creative and pre-press production? If you can send us the technical specs, we'll get our typographer to provide an estimate. We'd like to see a comp of the brochure in 2 weeks, followed by the digital proofs, and then to approve the blueprint before going to print. To make your work easier, we've prepared high-res photos of our main projects, a text divided into chapters, and some copies of competitors' brochures that we found interesting. You're free to choose the size, formats and types of paper, but don't want cardboard that is too thick or lamination of the cover. The aim is to communicate style, not opulence. If you can provide some samples of coated stock with matte or glossy finish, we can decide on them together. We were thinking of a print run of around 1,000 copies. We'd like a change of the black plate in order to have the text translated into Chinese. Can you prepare an estimate for the creative and pre-press production? If you can send us the technical specs, we'll get our typographer to provide an estimate. We'd like to see a comp of the brochure in 2 weeks, followed by the digital proofs, and then to approve the blueprint before going to print. To make your work easier, we've prepared high-res photos of our main projects, a text divided into chapters, and some copies of competitors' brochures that we found interesting. You're free to choose the size, formats and types of paper, but don't want cardboard that is too thick or lamination of the cover. The aim is to communicate style, not opulence. If you can provide some samples of coated stock with matte or glossy finish, we can decide on them together. We were thinking of a print run of around 1,000 copies. We'd like a change of the black plate in order to have the text translated into Chinese. Can you prepare an estimate for the creative and pre-press production? If you can send us the technical specs, we'll get our typographer to provide an estimate. We'd like to see a comp of the brochure in 2 weeks, followed by the digital proofs, and then to approve the blueprint before going to print.
High-res photo. Size format. Type of paper. Cardboard. Lamination of the cover. Sample of coated stock with matte or glossy finish. Change of the black plate. Estimate. Creative and pre-press production. Technical specs. Typographer. Comp of the brochure. Digital proof. Blueprint.